On our little planet, it's a good idea to understand how to protect yourself and to be safe. We've got an expert here with 35 years plus experience. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome to the Your Little Castle Show. Experts from all over our fruited plain. I think it's the first time I've used that one here, but I'm excited because this show goes, we're going back to the old school, from an old fool who's so cool. Brian Rossomanno, Roscoe, saved my career many times. When I'm launching balls over from shortstop in the hole or up the middle, he's stretching and diving and digging and picking up balls that I was making very difficult to catch. But he was my first baseman for many years. We were the Fenton Raiders. We won the state of Missouri and went over to Illinois, and then that was an interesting. We had a guy too young to play on the team. Remember that?
We got ripped off. We got ripped off.
And so they said, if you got a guy who's younger, then you have to forfeit. Well, we would have.
They didn't want to play us.
They didn't want to play us. They said, why don't you just play us, and if you beat us, then you can say you beat us with our younger. If you lose, then you can say you could win it anyway. But anyway, we didn't play that. But we won the state of Missouri, and the best shortstop ever to come out of Fenton was the title somebody gave me. That was kind of
100%.
Is that true? I appreciate that. But Brian is a tactical expert and somebody who has been. You have a military background too, a little bit.
I do.
Tell me, how did this all get started for you? Before I start to guess, I want to hear the facts. Only the facts, please.
Yeah. So straight out of high school, I wasn't the ball player you were, so I went to the Marine Corps out of high school, and after that, I did my 4 years there, and got out and got into law enforcement, and I did a little over 28 years in law enforcement, and during that time, we another police officer and I that were on the SWAT team together in St. Louis City, we formed this company called 0311 Tactical, and for about the last 16 years, we've been going around doing various forms of tactical training for the law enforcement, the military, but we also cater to private citizens and private institutions like schools, businesses, and just individuals that want to increase their preparedness in terms of personal safety, firearms proficiency, things along those lines.
Well, that's important stuff that most of us, how many people, I was one, I'll give it to you, explain it like this. I never owned a gun until I saw some craziness happening in our community out here. I'm like, I'm just a little jaunt off Highway 70 here. And then I said, I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna practice and learn how to shoot this thing. Before that, I was not confident enough to do that. Sports background, who I was. How important is it for people to understand these weapons that they have in there?
Well, it's huge because we come across a lot of people who will buy a firearm, especially when Missouri became a right to carry state. People would buy a firearm and then they would just carry it and never go to a range, never get a class on how to shoot it. And so you have a bunch of people who are in a position where the first time they're going to fire that gun is in defense of their life. And that's a really dangerous position to be in. So you have to establish a comfort level with it. You have to establish some knowledge of how it functions, what to do if it doesn't function correctly, and just, it's not like Hollywood. You pull the gun out and you shoot, and everything's just going to work out for you perfectly. You're going to fire that one shot, you're going to hit them in just the right place, and the problem's going to be solved. It just doesn't work that way. So proper training, proper knowledge, proper comfort level with a firearm, it's really important. It's important for your safety. It's important to understand how to secure that gun safely at home so people around you don't get injured. So just, obviously I'm a pro gun guy, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that too. So sometimes more guns isn't always the answer unless it's being done responsibly and done the right way.
Yes, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
So we want to always exude that, and it's so true. But it's for many good reasons, you can argue. We need to have the ability to defend ourselves. With that, shout out to Carroll House Furniture because you like nice things in your little castle. And Brooke has been a buddy of mine for many years. And you may have a nice home, that you have nice furniture, but you might protect that home with training you received from 0311 Tactical here. And so because you have a nice home, a nice place you're creating your own little castle that you're protecting with that. So with that, let's put up on the wall here. We've got Brian's, and you've got a business partner with you.
I do.
This? Tell us a little bit about who you're working with.
Yeah, his name is Craig Grobe. As I mentioned, we were on the SWAT team in St. Louis City together for several years. And he's also a former Marine, and he spent his time in the Marine Corps. He was a scout sniper, so a lot of really elite training. And he, for the last about 16 years, has been doing the overseas contractor stuff. He's been working on a lot of special projects in support of the DoD. So he's spent a lot of time in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, in some really austere environments, doing some really complicated stuff. So he is a wealth of knowledge. He brings a lot to the table, and he's able to translate what he's done in those environments to back home and really translate it to how it can really help people here in terms of really just like a lot of situational awareness, being aware of your surroundings, and how you can apply those tactics, especially for law enforcement and the military here back home, how they can apply it here back home.
Well, given your background, I was, like I said, we were excited to see, because I started running into you down at Busch Stadium all the time. So you actually do some security for the Cardinals too,
Sure.
and,
Yeah.
and keep everybody down there. It's 30, 40, 50,000 people. It can get a little hectic, but you're on the ball. They're always making sure everybody's under control.
Yeah, so not to give away too much, but we do have a tactical response capability down at Busch Stadium. We have some SWAT officers at the stadium for each game who are staged and they're prepared for anything that may arise. And so I run that for the Cardinals. And I could truly say that I believe Busch Stadium is the safest stadium in sports in America.
Really?
The Cardinals put a huge emphasis on fan safety, and there's a lot of things in place at Busch Stadium that aren't in place in other stadiums.
Really?
So I have the opportunity, I travel with the team and do security on the road for them, so I get to see a lot of the other stadiums. And so I get to be able to compare and contrast what the Cardinals do versus what other teams do. And I can tell you that the Cardinals are ahead of most other teams in the league when it comes to fan safety.
Well, that's important. That's encouraging too, because they talk about, you get a conglomerate of 35, 45,000 people. It could be a decent place for damage. If I want to say
Sure.
specifics, picked up on some of the, I know everything you say these days gets scanned and reported, but depending on where that's at, especially on TV, everybody. But literally, like, it's good to know that, like, in that facility, they're really going the extra mile to protect, because guns are everywhere on our little planet, and there's good reasons for us to be able to have guns, but not inside a stadium with, a lot of people who've been consuming alcoholic beverages, and
Right.
make sure that everybody stays online there.
Sure, in an environment like that, there's so many different things that can happen. And you can't prepare for every contingency, but what you can do is you can set a foundation that puts you in a position where you are prepared for anything that could happen. And I think the Cardinals have done a really good job with that. And then the guys that we bring in, the training we provide them, the screening we do, the selection that we do, we bring in the best guys in the region for that job, along with the other secondary police officers from St. Louis City and St. Louis County that are there. That contingent of officers, they do a really good job of securing the place. So hopefully, I think fans, when they come to the games, feel safe. Downtown St. Louis is a challenging area, but I think while you're at the game, I think you have good reason to feel safe.
Yeah, I'd say it's a matter of go to the game, park in the facilities. And now my buddy bought the place next door, and parking lot that came with it. And they said they made him put up a fence all the way around it.
Right.
Down there around the new parking lot they already had, but when he took ownership, they made him do that. But literally, like, unless you're going to go running around in the parts of St. Louis by yourself, like in any city, you're pretty safe. I mean, there's no real
Right, yeah.
worry you have, because I notice you guys are always out there together, and I always say hi to you. Thanks for your service. You guys protecting us right along in front of, that's the north, the west.
Yeah, on Clark Street usually.
Yeah. Clark Street, where you guys are kind of setting up. You can see you guys are all loaded and ready to protect us, and that's good, just confidence that gives us to know that we're in a safe environment. So.
Sure, we try to be visible. We don't try to make it a secret that we have SWAT officers there. We try to be visible, let the people know that we are there. We're looking out. We're keeping an eye on things, and hopefully that gives them a level of comfort that they are safe. Because, like you said, in that footprint of the stadium, you're very safe. Obviously, you got to use common sense. You can't wander off into areas that you shouldn't be anyway. And I think, and if you have a question about that, just ask somebody. There's places, like you said, that you just shouldn't wander off to. But if you're right there in the footprint of the stadium, and you stay close and you stay smart about what you're doing and where you go, and you keep aware of your surroundings, you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I believe that's totally true, and it's a great facility they've got down there. Well, tell me what it is you do specifically. You're helping train organizations, businesses, Who do you work with most to give them the training so they know how to handle and be protected and be safe?
Mostly we work with law enforcement. Our bread and butter is active shooter response. Unfortunately, that's a problem that just isn't going away. And it seems like every couple weeks somewhere in the country we have one of these events where somebody wants to inflict mass casualties on a school, a church, or some other kind of public gathering of some sort. So that's our bread and butter. We work with active shooter response, but we also work with police departments on just the critical skills that police officers need to have.
And these things are rare, but you need to know what to
Sure,
do to handle it.
sure.
So there's a lot of chaos going on there.
Absolutely.
Most people are losing their minds. You're helping people.
Right, and unfortunately, we have experience in this. Our company was kind of born out of an active shooter event. We had one in the city in January of 2010 at a place called ABB. A lot of people, and some of your viewers may remember that.
Yeah.
We responded to that event, and we saw what happens when you're not properly trained. The St. Louis City Police Department was not prepared for that event, and so we were kind of tasked with training the whole department after that. And that's kind of how our company was born. We put on a training program for the entire police department, and then we started getting contacted by other entities, other agencies, asking us to come put the training on for them. And we just couldn't do it within the scope of our 40-hour work week. So they started asking us, well, can you come do it on your days off, and we'll pay you to do it. And so that's how we kind of formed this company. But we felt it was important to get out there because prior to that event, we had been to training ourselves. But then once we stepped into that event, we realized how that training fell short. We experienced a lot of things that they never talked to us about in the training. So we thought we got to get out there and we got to start doing it our way, and we got to start covering these things that we experienced that we didn't get in the training that we went to. So our training comes from experience, what we experienced.
Yeah, what is it? You've got some elite training that you've been through. Given your military background, the Marines, one of the most elite defense organizations in the world. What separates you? What kind of expert training have you had that really makes a difference?
I think again, what separates us is the way we were able to translate it to and break it down to what these officers can use on a day-to-day basis. So beyond just the active shooter, because active shooter for most officers is probably a once-in-a-career thing, if that. Hopefully they never have to do it.
Right.
But we also focus on the day-to-day stuff that they do every day, the critical skills stuff. The stuff they do every day like traffic stops, and we work on that, what we call critical skills. Because obviously, everything police officers do is pretty heavily scrutinized. Yeah. Every use of force incident, every time an officer is involved in a shooting, just look at what's going on recently around the country. And so what we try to do is work with officers in these police departments to how could we handle things in a way where it doesn't get to that point? How can we minimize use of force incidents? Or how can we use tactics and training to put ourselves in a position where maybe there's something we can do other than shoot that guy in the chest? Maybe we can use a different use of force option other than our firearm. Or maybe we can use de-escalation to solve this issue before it gets to that point. And so we call that our street officer critical skills training, which is really starting to take off. We're starting to use it a lot with agencies here locally like Brentwood and Webster Groves. They're really getting on board with it. And we spent a whole month working with the Brentwood Police Department on these critical skills for street officers. And we break it down. We give them a bunch of data on, this is what your officers did in this scenario. 83% of them did this, 17% of them did that. And so the agency is learning, the officers are learning through the training, but the agency is learning about their officers. They're finding trends and maybe gaps in their training that they can address and hopefully get things tighter.
Wow, there's a lot that goes into this, and that's it makes me feel like what a service you're providing here, because literally there's a difference between do I buy a Coke or do I buy a Mountain Dew, or do I go to a game safe and I know that there's so much going on behind the scenes while I'm getting to make these basic decisions for to entertain myself or provide something to drink. You're keeping people's lives safe, and just a whole list of training and services and just expertise you're bringing to the table to make sure that we stay safe.
Well, we try to take it a step further. It's a pretty saturated market. There's a lot of people out there doing what we do. But we feel there's a lot of it is very cut and paste and cookie cutter, and we try to take it a little bit further. If there's three issues like active shooter stuff, for example, if there's three issues with it we see, is that number one, it's not done often enough. A lot of agencies will only do it once a year. Some only do it twice a year. I'm sorry, once every 2 years. And like you, I do a lot of analogy with baseball. If you only take batting practice once a year, it's not going to work
You're
out.
going to strike out.
Right. So if you're only doing this stuff once a year, it's not going to work out. The other issue is a lot of the entities out there that train active shooter are people that have never done it before. So they're teaching something they've never actually done. And their heart's in the right place, but they're only giving information that they got from somebody else who probably never did it before either. So us having done it before, I think we were able to come at it from a perspective that some people aren't. And the third problem with active shooter training is that it usually doesn't go far enough. The scenarios stop short of where they need to go. They're not in depth enough. The training is always very black and white. There's not much of a gray area where the officers have to really make decisions and use their brains. And so that's why I think our training goes just a little bit farther than most people.
Well, that training can then allow them to not have to second guess what they're talking about. It's like I like when you talk about it, baseball analogies, but I took thousands of ground balls outside of baseball with my dad in the backyard. So I knew what to do with whatever kind of hop or bad or difficult situation and or something that was unexpected. This is where training becomes so critical, especially in life or death situations.
Sure. I saw a great graph the other day, a little meme online where it said professional athlete training, there's like a bar graph, and training 95% of the time, performance 5%. But for law enforcement, it's performance 95% of the time, training 5%. So we expect cops to perform all the time, but we never give them any training. Whereas professional athletes, training all the time. Like, people don't see behind the scenes how often the Cardinals are out there taking ground balls, taking batting practice. And then they go out and they play a game for 2 hours.
Right.
But the amount of time they put in beforehand, taking ground balls, doing batting practice, people don't see that. But the preparation, that's how we need to approach law enforcement. We need to give them the prep time.
Well said, and lots to be said for that. And with that, you've got a ton of great reviews on your Facebook. But I just did nowadays we do our AI search right here, and it gave me some great feedback here. I'm putting this up on the wall for everybody to take a look here. But 0311 Tactical in Bloomsdale, Missouri. You're just south of Festus, there, Crystal City, where your shooting range is at, right?
Right.
Is a veteran-owned, highly rated training provider specializing in active shooter response, CQB, and firearms development. Reviews for these highlight a focus on decisive drive, realistic training under pressure rather than just basic marksmanship, and a whole litany of things that they talk about what you guys do here. Obviously, you guys have put a lot of time and energy into this to earn some great reviews from people.
Yeah, and decision-driven. I like that on that review, because that's what it's all about. It's a thinking person's game, and we really focus on the cognitive side of things as opposed to just instinctive reactions. We really want people, we challenge our officers to really think their way through problems and not just react to them. Yeah,
a quick reaction can cause a lot of problems. We're over our time here for a quick community piece, but we wanted to have a great bit there with Roscoe. Mr. Rossomanno, my captain first baseman from back in the day. We got some kids outside of Busch Stadium getting ready for a first pitch that came in town, and let's share some of their excitement with us. Check it out.
Hey everybody, we've got some baseball players in the building here. Who's your guys? All right, first of all, let's talk about who's your guys' favorite player? Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper. Tyler. Last now. Mason Wynn. Wyatt. All right, Wyatt. Now let's practice this a little bit. Are you righty or lefty? All right. So give me your form. Are you going to do wind up or are you going to do stretch? All right. So show me how to do this. How are you going to do it? All right. All right, move over for me right there. You got to hold it. Don't let that trophy. I know it looks heavier on TV. I know. All right. You go like this, right? That's the rubber right there. Let's say, all right. We'll step up here. Show me how you're going to do it. All right. Pretty good. Now, if I was going to be out there, maybe someday, here, I'll do a little bit more like this. Ready? It's called the Al Roboski Cardinal Cowboy. Here we go. You gotta hold on. That's how you gotta think you can do it. All right, let's go Cardinals on 3. You guys ready? You got it? You're all watching the Cardinals game, so come over and hold the trophy. You got it? All right.
Something. Did you do Legion
His
ball?
name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey, we're looking for the small business owners and leaders in our community to be on our show. This is the Your Little Castle Show. We air 3 times a week, every week on ABC, and we would like to put somebody you know, or maybe it's you, who's a business owner, to be on our show. You'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you, and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. Takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there's no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Check that out. Go to bigleagues.com. Well, there you have it, and the media has changed the way the world functions. Pick up our book. It's called Magnetized Media. Yours truly wrote the foreword here, because they said, Carter, there's nobody we know that does more with the media. They made me put my picture in there, but #1 seller on Amazon. Technology changes the way the world functions. You've got a great looking website, Facebook. We're going to get into that a little bit. I like to do what we call a cost analysis. And here, the cost analysis could be huge, because if you don't have the proper training, if you open yourself up to major lawsuits. Lawsuits. Sure. People will be suing for millions of dollars because something didn't go right and somebody didn't make it. You know, it could be a difficult situation.
Absolutely. That's a big part of the critical skills, the street officer critical skills thing we're doing for law enforcement is, bad decisions, bad tactics can lead to bad outcomes, which the result of those is injured officers. So you have workers' comp issues, civil liability, like you're talking about. If you have unjustified or unnecessary uses of force, that's going to result in civil liability. People are going to sue your agency. So injured officers, again, it includes workers' comp, time away, so you have manpower shortages, and then civil liability, people suing you. So that's all dollars and cents, and that speaks to people.
Yeah.
Among the other larger tragedies of some of these things, dollars and cents speaks to people sometimes. So if we can just mitigate those things just by doing things the right way and just training better. A lot of times these police departments get hit with civil lawsuits, and the first thing they say is failure to train. That'll be the first, they have to list all the things that the police departments did wrong, and the first one that's usually listed is failure to train. And a lot of times that is the issue, that they don't get the officers the proper training, and we're just trying to mitigate that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a critical bit of training that you guys are putting on showcase here and allowing people to take part in, because literally, like, you're saving lives. I mean, to save a few $1,000s on a roof or a deck or whatever is very important, helps families, but to keep people out of situations so they don't get stuck in a situation they can't handle.
Sure, and usually when we sit down with these agencies and we really look at, hey, this is what it's going to cost. You know, look at these other things you're spending money on, which sometimes, you know, they're spending in some agencies can be kind of wasteful. You know, if you're just invest in your officers is the way we try to explain it to them. Invest in your officers. Invest. You know, that increases morale. It increases the efficiency of the officers, and it just increases your chances of not falling into these pitfalls of getting sued and having people get hurt. And it benefits everybody. It benefits the officers. It benefits the community.
Well said, and something very important for what we all need here. Tell me a little bit about the process. Why would somebody choose you? I mean, obviously, they're figuring they've got a problem. There's some training lacking, and what's the easy way to get things started with you?
Again, just contact us through the website or by phone. 24/7. We don't sleep. We're up all day, every day. But again, I think just the thing that sets us apart is we craft every class to each individual training partner's needs. I mentioned we spent a month with the Brentwood Police doing our critical skills class. We're going to do a month with Webster Groves doing also critical skills, but those two classes are not going to be the same because Brentwood and Webster Groves have different needs. They have different things they want us to focus on. And so we spend a lot of time before the training ever starts sitting down with each agency and asking them, what is it you want to focus on? What is it you need? And how do we don't conduct training, we construct training, we build it. And we build it with our training partners. We ask them, what do you want this training to look like? What do you want to get out of it? So a lot of places, they'll come in and the training they give you looks exactly like the training they gave somebody else the week before. And it'll look just like the training they're going to give somebody else next week. I mentioned it's very cookie cutter, cut and paste. We don't do that. We don't check the box on anything. We build it specifically for you. We want you to get out of it what you want to get out of it. And so while we're still going to bring our 2 cents and it's going to be how we construct it, but you have a say in what it's going to look like. Because if you don't get what you want out of it, we're kind of wasting our time.
Yeah, so customized to each department and the needs
Absolutely.
you see that they need, and some of the expert training. I mean, you were going through the litany of training and background that you and your business partner have, and how many guys do you have on your team?
We have, there's mainly 4 of us that do most of it, but we have a cadre of about 10 to 12 guys that we pick for different things. We use some guys we use for firearms, some guys we use for tactics, some guys we use for different things, different disciplines. And so that's kind of another thing that sets us apart is, some of these companies come in and they'll have guys teach disciplines that they're not really experts in. We use different guys for different things based on what their skill set is. And so if we don't know it, we won't teach it. If we haven't done it, we won't teach it. Some places, hey, can you teach us this? Oh, sure we can. And they'll come in and put together some class based off of what they pulled off the internet. But we use guys that are experts in that area, and that's why we have it kind of really compartmentalized on what they're experts in.
Stay tuned for everybody. Giddy up.